My name is Clyde Gillett, and of course you know who's behind the camera, Francois Estrada. We're here live at the Consulate General Office of Belize in Los Angeles, where the Honorable Roland Yorke presides, along with his staff and the whole elements of the Belize community. Today we promise to give you something very interesting. Today is an artist exhibit, where all the profound artists with a Belizean descent are being showcased this whole month in the Consulate Office of Belize. We have right now Miss Glenda here, who promises to give us a great exhibition this evening. I want to get right to it right now. Mrs. Card, how you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Is there anything that you want to tell the audience about your style and your creativity of what makes you an artist?
Well, I have a passion. I've had a passion for drawing, ever since I was little. And my paintings, I like to do cultural stuff, about Belize. And actually, I had given up on my painting. Well, I hadn't given up on my painting. I came to the States, and had my children to take care of, so I had set it aside. And then actually what happened that motivated me to start again, I went home to Belize.
Wow.
And you grow up in Belize, but when you're growing up, you don't really see the beauty. You don't see the sights. You go to school, you come home, you go to work, you come home. And I hadn't really been anywhere like sightseeing, really. So when I went back in 2008, that's when I went to the, the Cayo and Mountain Pine Ridge, and then I saw those beautiful waterfalls and caves, and I didn't realize Belize was so beautiful. That's when I went back, and then when I went back on my visit, like 4 years ago, and then that's what motivated me, to start up. I said, when I go back to Los Angeles, I'm going to start with my art again, and I'm going to focus my paintings on culture, our culture, our Belizean culture.
Absolutely. Now today at the Consulate General Office of Belize here in Los Angeles, and this wonderful day of this exhibit, what do you expect from today?
Okay, well, from today, I expect, to get some more exposure. My plan is to have more exhibits as much as possible as I can and go forward with my painting. I'm not going to let all those years relapse again, before I start back up again. So from today, I'm going to go forward from there. And my plan is to, whatever painting I sell, I'm going to give a percentage, send it back home, to help maybe the homeless or less privileged people.
What message would you like for a Belizean youth back home who may be thinking of picking up the artistic style? What advice would you offer them?
Okay, my advice to them would be keep on going. Don't give up. Work with their their art and focus on their art and use it. Thank God for your talent that He gave to you, and use it for the good. Help others.
Absolutely. Use it for the good and help others. Miss Glenda here, live at the Consulate General Office in Los Angeles for Belize. Stay tuned.
Good afternoon. I want to first thank you for joining us this afternoon. I was away the last reception that was held, and I was informed that all hell broke loose. Specifically, they had food, they had dancing, which is against the Sabbath, and they carried on just the same. And so I wasn't going to be here today, but I said to myself, please be here to preserve the existence and the presence of the consulate. But I want to talk about our guest artist for the day, because there's a thing that is called residential integration. That means it talks about where you live, specifically where you live in Belize. I'll give you an example. If you lived on Bark Road, you say you come from Bark Road, and ordinary everyday folks end up living on Bark Road. But if you say you live on Eve Street, that gives you name identification. I just share with you, the folks that live on Eve Street are the Geggs and the Hunters and the Clarks. And so if I were to say to you, where do you live? And you say, Eve Street. So, why, she live in a good place, good street. And so when you look at Glenda's case, now basically Glenda comes from what is called behind Ebenezer. But she's not going to tell you that. Glenda is not going to say she came out of Park Road. She's going to say she came out of Eve Street. That gives her, it's like the folks who live on Regent Street. You have Regent Street and Regent Street West. If you say you live on Regent Street, that means you live in, upper middle class. If you live on Regent Street West, you won't talk about that. You will just say, I live on Regent Street. Have you ever heard someone who lived on Ayabra say, I lived on Ayabra? What they end up saying, they live on Albert Street or Albert Street West or near Wesley College. They never say they live at Ayabra. That, my friends, is what is called residential socialization. That's 202. If you want to do a master's program, which is 504, you talk about the entire country. But let me talk about Miss Glenda for 1 second, because we found out that Miss Glenda, you asked her where she was born. And Helen, what's the name of the place?
Flowers Lime Walk.
Flowers Lime Walk. How many of us have heard of Flowers Lime Walk? Huh? 5 folks the most. And it ain't a city address, it's just not big city. Flowers Lime Walk is near Flowers Bank, yes. Right? And if you live at Flowers Bank, they call you from Bush. You know what I'm saying? But Glenda's not going to say that. She's not even going to say she came out of Back Road. She's going to say she came out of what? Thank you very much. Thank you. But I want to now turn this program over to Miss Helen, because she's the person most responsible for coordinating the series of programs we have had. And I can tell you, she will be introducing some guests, because they've been invited here because they know what we're doing, and the fact that they would like to become engaged in similar activities. So, Miss Helen.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out and supporting this endeavor here at the Consulate of Belize. This is the 3rd exhibit that we're having for art, and Ms. Glenda Card was so gracious and talented, like all the other artists are. We started in April 28, I believe it was. We had an inaugural exhibit, and then our first artist exhibited was Greg Palacio, correct? Okay. And he exhibited for 3 weeks. And we had a reception just like this, and then his artwork was up for 3 weeks. And then after Greg, we had Marcus Larius from San Pedro, Belize. And again, we also had a reception, and then his artwork was up for 3 weeks. And now today, we're starting off with Miss Glenda. And her work is going to be up for 3 weeks. So we encourage you to tell everyone about it. They can come to the Consulate of Belize, stop by during the office hours, which is on the brochure. Make sure you get a copy of the brochure before you leave with that information. And then after Miss Glenda, our 4th artist is going to be Isaiah Nicholas, and he's here with us today, Isaiah. And then after Isaiah, it will be a young lady, Celeste Pedersen. And that should close off our series of art exhibits. Similarly, prior to that, we had a series of photography exhibits, and we have several of the photographers today in the house. We have Francis right in front of me, Francis Estrada. Actually, he was the first one to display his work. And we have Norman Reno. Norman. And incidentally, Norman also has a current exhibit ongoing right now at Calumet Photo on Highland. Yes, on Highland. So if you contact Norman, he'll give you that information about, so you can stop by and see his exhibit, which is a span of how many years, Norman? How many years is your? About 5 years of photography work that he has done with carnivals. So interesting. And then we also have Kurt Sanchez in the house as well. Kurt, another photographer who exhibited here at the Consulate as well. And then the others are, Clyde. How could I forget Clyde? Clyde Gillett. And Clyde Gillett also, by the way, he's also a filmmaker. He's an award-winning filmmaker. His film won an award. So, you know, it's a pleasure knowing these very talented people. But also, not to delay any further, I'd like to thank Mr. Bob Farrell. Thank you for, once again, being here with us. He is a great friend of Belizeans, former councilman. And we also have Mr. Winfield Tillett, Mr. Tillett, and we have Silvano Torres. Silvano? Okay. Let me start with Silvano, if I can have Silvano come up and say a few words. Please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Helen. Thanks, Mr. Yorke. My name is Silvano Torres, and I represent Belize in this Central American organization called COFECA. Every year we do a 3-day event at City Hall in MacArthur Park, actually. And this is those take place. Let me have a flyer. Those take place at in September. And I have a flyer right now, and the dates are going to be for this year. It's going to be September 20th. We have a 3-day event actually. We celebrate the independence of and cultures of all the countries actually, from Belize all the way to Panama. So this year we're going to celebrate on September 20th. We're going to have a City Hall reception. Everybody's invited to be there. We're going to have a distinguished citizen, and which is who's going to be actually Dr. Edward Grant. On Saturday we're going to have a festival at MacArthur Park all day long, and it's going to be very festive with musicians from all different countries, including Belize. We're going to have food, Belizean food, foods from all countries. And on Sunday we have a grand parade actually, and this year is very important because this year Belize is the host country in this Central American organization, in this COFECA. And today we have Mrs. Brigida Cordero. She is the secretary of COFECA. Yeah, and we are actually going to be hosting this year, so we need everybody's participation. And we are going to be leading this year, and we are going to have a grand marshal this year. And at this point, I just spoke to a Dr. Arlie Peters, and he accepted to be our Grand Marshal for this year, to be in a parade. So we're going to have, we need all organizations to be participating in this event actually. We need all Belizeans, we need Belizeans to show the world, hey, who we are. We need our culture to be out there. And most of all, we need your support to be out there actually. And I won't be long. So next week, as a matter of fact, we're having a fundraiser barbecue sale, and that's going to be June 16th. And we have some brochures going around, some flyers going around. And on July 8th, actually, we're having a tea party / coronation. That's when we are going to coronate our queen for Belize and for COFECA at the same time. And it's going to be on July 8th at Mirage Hall on Slauson and Paloma, I believe. Paloma? Yeah. So we are... Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be 5900 Paloma, I believe, right? Yeah, 5900 yes. Paloma. So we're going to have some flyers circulating shortly, and we actually invite every one of you guys to be up there and support us all. All right? Thanks very much.
My name is Winfield Tillett. I formed a team in Calbell Cricket Club in 1980. We're still going strong. We are a member of the Southern California Cricket Association that has 49 teams from all over the world. I'm the director, the Belize director to that. This year, we are bringing Belize, the national side, over here, and they'll arrive here on August 30th and return to Belize on the 5th of September. They'll be playing 3 games at Woodley Park. First one on Saturday, the 1st of September, against CARICOM. Second will be on the Sunday against Belize, California Belize. And on the Monday, the Labor Day, they'll be playing a world team selected by the Southern California Cricket Association. So our purpose is to see that Belize is exposed to the best of cricket. Everything is arranged. We're having a big dance on the Saturday night. That's the 1st of September with a New Dimension band. That band will also be at the park on Sunday. By the time we come back here the next time we have a ceremony like this, we'll have flyers made out because we just got the hall today. Our president will be here in a little bit. Oh, he's here now. He'll be here in a little bit. And this should be big because it's not only Belize or Calbel that is having it. We have the whole Southern California Cricket Association behind us. And they said that Australia will be here. The Australian TV station will be here for this event.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Marva Herman. She's the president of the Caribbean Heritage Association.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Yes, my name is Marva Herman. I'm with the Caribbean Heritage Organization, and I'm also the West Coast representative for the National Caribbean American Heritage Commemorative Team. And this month, June, is Caribbean American Heritage Month. It's been going on for 6 years, and unfortunately, I've not been doing a very good job of it because a lot of people have not heard about Caribbean American Heritage Month. And we've been having a gala, our annual gala in Hollywood since 2006. We've missed 2 years because of the economy, but since 2006. But as time is going by, things are it's growing more and more across the country. And this year, I'm very pleased. I learned this year about the Garifuna people of St. Vincent, Belize, Dominica, and even learned that there's some in Jamaica as well. So one of our goals starting this year around the country is to make sure that the Garifuna people are strongly represented in Caribbean American Heritage Month. And we're pleased this year that every year for our gala, this year it's going to be Friday, June 29th at the Sheraton Universal Studios. We're pleased that our featured artist will be Greg Palacio, who is Garifuna, right? Yes. and the Garifuna American Heritage Association, they will be doing a very nice dance presentation for us as well. And this will be a permanent part of the whole National Caribbean American Heritage Month celebration. This is something that we've just learned about, and we're just pleased and overwhelmed that there was a part of the Caribbean history that even people in the Caribbean did not know about. I grew up there, and I was told that the Caribbean and the Arawaks were all extinct, and I've learned differently in the past month or so. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Yorke, and after he's through, we will then have the big moment we're waiting for, the unveiling.
You will get a chance to see the difference between Eve Street and Mark Road. Thank you very much. I want to welcome those of you that have been late in arriving, and obviously thanking you for being here. I want to comment, or at least introduce someone who is very close to Ms. Card. The fact that I recall in 1968 or so, I recall, on NBC, it was the Huntley Brinkley Report, they talked about an island off North Carolina and the fact that they had these folks who in fact spoke like Caribbean folks, but obviously were African Americans of African descent. And then in 72, I read an article in the LA Times that talked about these folks once again, and lo and behold, I hooked up with a lady by the name of Flora Anderson Chestnut, and she gave me the full history of folks who live in North Carolina of these islands, and the fact that South Carolina, and the fact that there's obviously a connection between Belize folks and those folks from Sierra Leone and South Carolina, and so Today, she will kind of give us a brief history along with some poetry reading. This lady is not only a writer, a historian, she's someone who has a sense of Belizean history, and therefore it gives me pleasure to introduce her and have her read at least one of her poems and talk about, in brief, Miss Card, because Miss Card is a renowned person, as you will see shortly when we unveil her painting.
Good afternoon. I bring greetings from our honorary consulate, Ms. Debichelle, and my fellow Belizeans in Chicago. And to you, the Honorable Roland Yorke, the Consul General, and staff who worked tirelessly to let this important event take place here today. Good afternoon also to all our esteemed guests who all took time out today to celebrate the Lady of the Hour, Artist Extraordinaria, Mrs. Glenda Card Collins, who has been a friend of mine for the past 50 years, believe it or not. It was amazing when I told Glenda that I would like to come when her unveiling of her art was going to be done. And I told her, I said, I'd like to do one of my poems that I entitled, We Are Belize, One People, One Nation. And when I told her that, it was amazing because she said, one of my art pieces has the same name, We Are Belize. And in looking at that, I just want to say that our lives have been parallel, and only an awesome God that we serve can do something like this, because it was simply amazing when I said, I have this poem, and she said, I have a piece of my artwork. So I just want to say congratulations, and it really gives me a humble and an honor to be here today. And as Mr. Yorke had mentioned, my connection or our connection with Belize, South Carolina, and Sierra Leone, that's this piece, and it has been an amazing journey in me unraveling and just looking and asking the question, where do I think our ancestors came from? And I told this young man in Virgin Islands, I said, I feel Sierra Leone, that's my ancestral piece, right? So then he said, when I said I want to go to Sierra Leone, he said, well, before you go to Sierra Leone, you need to go to South Carolina. And that was in 97. I was in Virgin Islands saying this. And then I went back to Chicago, and in January 98, the opportunity presented itself for me to go to some of the southern states, which included South Carolina. And I bought a seat, another DVD, at that time one of the VHS tape, right? Which is called Family Across the Sea. And it was a wonderful documentary talking about this lady whose name was Amelia Dolly. And growing up in Belize, how they like to do us, they give us names, right? So my name at birth was Flora Amelia. But instead of being called by my first name, which is Flora, the entire time I went through school, it was Amelia. So in looking at this video, when we were leaving from South Carolina, Family Across the Sea, a part of this video had a story about this lady, whose name was Amelia Dolly. And when I saw what she was talking about and her ancestry, I just started crying because I saw the connection. And then later on, after, okay, the song that she was singing was a song that they thought was a lullaby. When they researched it and took it back to Sierra Leone, it was a funeral song that her grandmother taught her. And so when I looked at that, I said I could not stop crying. Then later on, I bought another video that was called The Language We Cried In. And when I looked at that, again, it was the story of her and the whole story of how they traced this recording and took it back to Sierra Leone and found that it was this funeral song. And then when I looked at the day that she was born the day before me, in another century. So I was born in 19th century, right, And she was born on December 12th in the 18th century. And so I just feel, many of us don't believe in reincarnation, but I just feel that there's this connection. And so I still have to do more research and really meet some of her family that is still in South Carolina. And again, with my friend here, Glenda, my birthday is December 13th. Her birthday is December 15th. And that's why the parallels that we continue to have in our life is real. So again, thank you for being able to let me share this. And after the unveiling, then I'm going to do the poem. Thank you.
I have a staff, and obviously we have a massive staff because we're in a massive building. And I've got, there are 3 of us here. From time to time, we become chief cook and bottle washers, but we enjoy doing it just the same. We have Mrs. Carolyn McKenzie, who's the vice consul, and we have Mrs. Tricia Logan, who's the secretary, and she does everything in the interim. Also, we have 3 task force desks. We have Miss Helen, of course, who coordinates our cultural desk. We have Kim Hernandez, who does the education desk. And let me just in 2 seconds talk about the educational desk, because we're involved in a program, a mentorship program with ACC, Anglican Community College in Belize, and it's the relationship is a very efficient and workable one, and we want to continue to do so. We also have a help desk, and the help desk is charged with the responsibility of coordinating health-related activities in the community. We've had a screening, and then we've had 2 cancer workshops that bombed out most miserably, and we will do it a 3rd time. Hopefully we get it right. But Miss Linda Lewis Brown is the person in charge, and Miss Kim Hernandez is the person in charge of the education desk. And having said that, I want to turn it back to Miss Helen so we could get on with the unveiling. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Okay, at this time we're going to have the unveiling. We're going to start in the main area right there, and then we'll come back into this area. And Miss Glenda will tell you about her artwork.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out to my exhibition. And I'd also like to thank everybody here at the Belize Consulate to give me this opportunity. And I'd also like to thank my friend. Like she said, we've been friends for 50 years, all the way through high school. And she flew all the way out from Chicago to come to my, exhibition. And also, I'd like to say a little thing about the Flowers Lime Walk thing. Because Helen had called me and she said, Glenda, where is Flowers Lime Walk?
We can't hear you.
Where is Flowers Lime Walk? And I said, I don't know. I know I heard it somewhere. And then I said, oh, you know where I saw that? Duh, it's on my birth certificate. Okay, so that's one thing. And another thing I want to say about the Eve Street thing, I don't want to argue with Mr. Yorke, because who am I to argue with the Belize Consulate? But when he said, people ask him, where is Eve Street? And then you said what? No, you said that when people ask, where are you from? What street you're from? And you said Eve Street, and then you said, what? No, Eve Street. You said when they ask, what street are you from? Do you live on? And you said Eve Street, and you said, oh, that's a good street.
The middle class, upper middle class folks
but
are not living
I don't want to dispute what you're saying, but that's not what they said. They said, oh, you grew up on white people streets. Yeah. So anyway, I just like to thank everybody, like I said, for coming out. And when I was growing up, I'd always have this interest in art. But at the time when I was growing up, it didn't take first place, because my mother and my father, they didn't discourage me, but they were like, it's okay to do your little art stuff, but you need to pay attention in school, because the art stuff is not going to do nothing for you. You have to get an education. That's where you're going to be able to get a job and, get some money. you're not going to do it by the little drawing thing. So, so anyway, when I didn't have any formal education in drawing, you know, but when I was really young, I did go to this workshop at the Bliss Institute, and for about a month, it was in the summer, and then after the workshop ended, we had an exhibition at the Bliss Institute, which I participated in. And then a few years later, I think my brother was the one that was in Jamaica, and then I believe he was the one that told my mother about an exhibition that they was having for the Caribbean, you know, people. So then I sent some paintings out, and I had one there. And then after that, I basically didn't do anything. You know, especially after I came out here and I had to raise my 2 children. Oh, yes, anyway, after the exhibit in Jamaica, I basically didn't do much, you know, especially I came out here with my children and I had to raise them, you had to work and took care of them. And then what motivated me to go back to my art is when I went back home, I think around 2008 to Belize, and I went on tours, toured my own country, and I saw stuff that I didn't know about. Because, you know, when you're growing up in Belize, you go to school, you go to work, and you don't really go anywhere. But then when I went back in 2008, I went to Cayo, and I went to the ruins, and I saw some beautiful waterfall, and I went into this big old cave in Adori, you know, that Mayan cave. And then I said, you know, when I go back to the States, I'm going to pick up on my painting again, and I'm going to do cultural stuff. So when I came back, that's what I'm doing now, and that's what brought me here. And my goal is to not let all those years relapse again. You know, I'm going to keep on going with my art. I'm going to, you know, do exhibits, you know, whenever possible. So once again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out, and hope you enjoy. Okay.
Glenda, can you tell us a little bit about these paintings?
This one is called Father and Daughter, and this is her and her dad. So she has had me to do this for her father for a Christmas gift, and Christmas of 2010. This is the
Could you stand next to it, right?
yeah, this is the subject of
You look just like you.
Now this one is called We Are Belize, and you know, this is the ethnic people that live in Belize, you know, the Spanish, Creole, Coolie, Asian, white, Garifuna, the Mennonite, Mayan, and then under here, you know, is the Belize landmarks. Everybody know what this is. I know.
Oh, a lot of babies made there.
This is called Wash Day, and it's a typical Saturday in Belize. I remember doing this up until I came out here in 1977. I had to do my washing like that on a scrub board. So when I came to the States, and all I had to do was put my clothes in the washer and just drop some money in it and sit back. That was like heaven, you know.
Okay, we're going to switch to the other wall. If we could just maybe step up a little. Sorry.
Okay, this one is the black orchid, and this is the Belize national flower. Yeah. Okay, and this one, we had gone to San Pedro Key, and I saw these women walking on the beach selling their blankets and stuff that they made. So, and this one is the garden of the ruin.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, and this is the one, you know, just came to me because I don't know if they actually had no Mayan warrior standing on no ruin guarding it whatsoever. But if they didn't, I decided I'm going to make it up. So then this is a Mayan warrior, and you know it's late, everybody's probably asleep, and he's standing there with his sword, watching over the ruin, making sure, you know, there are no intruders.
I think you're correct though, Glenda, because up in Lamanai,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
They have a bar like that? Oh, I didn't know.
Cards now.
Oh, wow.
And they will go up to the very top for their sacrifices.
Okay.
Glenda.
And this one is another ruin. This is two tourists. They're sitting on top of the ruin, and they're just looking out over the rainforest. And this one here, I call this one Still Sleep. Still Sleep, because this is my granddaughter, and I've gone in like 3 times to tell her to get up. And each time I go back in, she had turned over and went back to sleep. So, okay, this one again, we're on San Pedro, and you know, she's a little resort kind of thing, and she's relaxing in her hammock. And this one here is called a new day. This one is the sun coming up early, and the fishermen they out early to start their work getting fish. Yes, this one right here, I call this one. Oh. Okay, this one here is a hibiscus flower. This is one of our Belizean flowers that we grow. And I remember when we were growing up, we used to call it red bell. Yeah. And then this one here, there's no name, but this is, I call this one up the Macal. And these are, you know, the people in the little dory going up, heading towards the fire bridge. And it's kind of taken from above, and you have the polar mountains and birds and stuff looking down from the trees. Okay. This one here, actually, this one is my was my first attempt at doing portraits in color, and I just call it like Belizean baby. They go in the neighbors right in front of their house. So I decided I'm going to do a black and white. So, and that's it. This is in pencil.
Thank you very much, Ms. Glenda, and thank you everyone here as well for coming out. But we're not done yet. We're going to turn it over to Mrs. Chestnut.
This is the poem that matches the portrait that is We Are Belize. We are Belize, one people, one nation. No land so fair can compare with my home in the Caribbean Sea, where the summer nights and the summer days are waiting just for you and me. Ooh, it is a land where the breezes whisper. It is the land of eternal delights. None is so sweet and fair, none can compare with my home in the Caribbean Sea. We are Belize, God's wonder-filled paradise, land of our birth by the Caribbean Sea, in its numerous shades of blue. We are Belize, pine, cedar, rosewood, logwood, mahogany, the mangrove forests along the coastline, providing a haven for our endangered manatee. We are Belize, the rain overflowing the Macal, the Mopan, the Sarstoon, the Sibun, and the Rio Grande rivers. We are Belize, the Barrier Reef, the Great Blue Hole, the Keys, making our Belize a diverse playground. We are Belize, the rainforest and the forest reserves, rich with an astonishing array of flora and fauna and God's natural organic medicine cabinet. We are Belize, the ancient, mysterious, and magnificent Maya sites such as Caracol, Shenantonich, Aldonha, Lamanai, and Kahalpek. No land so fair can compare with my home in the Caribbean Sea, where different people living together in peace and harmony. Ooh, it is a land where the breezes whisper. It is a land of eternal delight. None is so sweet and fair, none can compare with my home in the Caribbean Sea. We are Belize, one people, the Creole, the Garinagu, the Mestizo, the Yucatec Maya, the Mopan Maya, the Quechua Maya, the Chinese, the East Indian, and Mennonites, all creates a multi-ethnic and multicultural population, and we all call Belize home collectively. We are Belize, one people, one nation. Therefore, in the spirit of love, unity, solidarity, freedom, and peace, we pray that our country will remain independent and free, as the Caribbean Sea, in its numerous shades of blue, washes the shores of Belize. In like manner, we pray that God continue to bless our country and nation, so that we may all say with pride, we are Belize, one people, one nation, land of the free, by the Caribbean Sea. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Okay, just a quick announcement. For those of you who just came in, we want to say thank you for coming. We do have food in the back room here, and we urge you to please come by and sample our food. We have enough food for everyone. So, and also make sure that you sign in at the guest list in the front. And also, Mr. Yorke has a gift for everyone to share with people you know so that they are aware who our leaders are in Belize. If you are going to eat, we have enough of these to go around, so don't worry about not getting one. You will get one, okay? So again, thank you very much, and continue to enjoy. One other quick announcement. Those of you who would like to take pictures with the artist, you can congregate in front of your favorite painting and call her over, and then we'll take your pictures.
Woo! You guys are seeing it here live at the Consulate General Office of Belize here in Los Angeles right now, in an exhibit that promises to showcase the different aspects of things that are going on in the mindset of Belizean citizens who have traveled abroad and now returning home with their art and their craft, expressing themselves in a way that we have to be able to dig inside and find out what else is going on. Right now, I have the honor right here to Mrs. Flora Anderson Chestnut.
Good afternoon, and I'm so happy to be here, and thanks for interviewing me.
Indeed, it's quite an honor, quite an honor. Your Mrs. Card has a long relationship going on that seems to have developed into something that only the ancestors had something to do with it.
Say that again, because we have been friends from high school, which is over 50 years. And each time that we talk, our lives is so parallel. She being the artist in drawing, I'm being the artist in spoken word, and not only that, but looking at my culture, the Creole culture. And what I've also done is each year in Chicago, we celebrate how we celebrate Christmas in Belize, right? It's featuring the Creole, the Garifuna, and the Mayan. And so we have been doing that for the past 7 years. And then I also started an organization called the Belizean Cultural Bearers. And what I'm trying to do is to pass on our Creole culture to the youths that were born here in America. And then also whoever else is interested in knowing about our culture. And we just had the 2nd annual Creole Festival, whereas I traced through dancing Africa, because our ancestors were taken from Africa, to Jamaica, and then Jamaica to Belize. And so we had it where the kids that I work with did the first piece, which was the African piece. And then we had the group that I work with, which is the West Indian Folk Dance Company, for them to do Kumina. Because what I'm trying to do is to look at, and then finally we did the Brockdown in Belize. And also, the late, he just passed, Mr. Bob Renner, he used to teach, he had written and taught a dance called the Mahogany Tree. And so we also featured that so that we could show or showcase that when our ancestors were taken from Jamaica to be brought to Belize, they were brought there to work in the mahogany and the logwood camp. And so it is just typical or, important that we do this. This young lady, her name is Marilyn Panting, that used to be one of Mr. Bob Renner's student. And so she has been carrying on this, and so myself, along with my sister and another gentleman, we sing the song, the Mahogany Tree, and Marilyn does the dance, and it is so spectacular and important because the kids and others need to know our own history.
It's important that the kids need to know their history. This is what the Consulate Office here in Los Angeles of Belize is focused upon, connecting those dots to those things. And this young lady right here offers a lineager to some things that we might not be able to understand quite yet, because it is being right now in the transition of the knowledge is being brought to the forefront so we can all realistically gravitate to what we know Belize as. Belize, one people, one nation, one flag, unified. What is your response upon the artist exhibit today and with the crowd and the exuberance in regards to the unveiling of those wonderful artistic pictures?
I just feel that it is phenomenal, her art. And I can remember when we were in high school, and the first painting that I saw her painted, and I think it was with sunrise or sunset, with a man sitting at the side, because since she lived up at the barrack, right? So this person that she drew was like fishing, right?
Yes.
And from the time she'd been over here, I always say, Glenda, you need to pull out your art and go back into it and do it, right? And so I feel so happy and wonderful to know that this is happening to her today with the wonderful, it's just God's gift that she has to be able to do what she has been doing. And then when Mr. Yorke had the first exhibit, which had to do with photography, I emailed her and said, okay, Glenda, you need to go speak with Mr. Yorke and ask him when will they do your type of work, since he featured the first one with photography, right?
Okay.
And so she did speak with him, and the rest is history for today.
Wow. Key elements of things that's been discussed right here. Education, continuity, living your dreams, following through with your dreams, and accomplishing your dreams. You guys stay tuned live. We're going to get some more interviews of some hot people that's here right now making a live impact for themselves, their own lives, and for you back home. Stay tuned. We're back, and we have a treat for you today. We actually have a vast amount of our celebrities here today. Mr. Yorke, go ahead.
I would refrain from the word celebrity and just talk about my appreciation for having both Miss Glenda here as our guest artist for the day, and Miss Anderson, because she has added so much to today's gathering. For me, having both of them has to do, one with the artist, the other with the historian. And the importance of the historian is that she has promised me that, in fact, at some point in time, and which means real soon, she will be coordinating a visit to South Carolina for Belizeans living both in the United States and Belize, to give us a sense as we make that journey to our roots, you see? And for me, that is just terribly important. To the artist, Ms. Card, the fact that she has brought to this community not only the presence of a Belizean artist, but the fact that we have gone through an ethnic mix in this community, And today she represents and is therefore reflecting the Creole presence in our community. In addition to that, the gender question she has added to it. So I want to thank both of them for having been a part of the consulate's activity today. And obviously, as you well know, it is our intent to do more. But to both of you, I want to say thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for doing this wonderful event. I mean, without you doing it, it would not have happened. So I really, like I was saying earlier, that when you did the first artist with photography, right? I sent Glenda an email and I said, you need to go speak with Mr. Yorke.
And the rest of the show she did.
Right,
not only did she remind me once, not only did she do so twice, she did so several times. So I made a commitment for us to do it. I made a commitment. And so I thank both of you. I know you will be traveling back to Chicago. Give your honorary consul my regards, and to all my friends in Chicago. And to you, you will stay here and do additional shows. Yes. I thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Yorke. And I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And like Flora said, she was the one that contacted me about, the photography. And I came to the photography show. And then I also called Mr. Yorke and I said, well, are you going to do an art show? Because I would be very interested, and here I am today. And once again, I want to thank him and Helen and everybody else that put all this together for me and giving me this opportunity.
Wow. Live here from the Consulate Office of Belize here in Los Angeles. You have an exclusive. Go to your internet, log on, see what's going on here. Come on down, take a trip to Belize. We love you. Out.